As you flow through your 50s and beyond, you might be thinking about whether to retrain as a software engineer, whether you should learn to code because you want to change jobs or you're out of work, or you just generally want to upskill yourself, given we're living in a digital world. Well, I want to share 3 factors to help you think about whether you should go down that route or not. So the first one is you really do need to understand the type of person who you are. And what I mean by this is, are you an ideas generator? Are you somebody that has got fantastic ideas? It's really easy for you to come up with ideas. You know, as boomers, we've lived at least 5 decades, 6, 7, and beyond. And so, therefore, we've been through a lot of life. And there may be things you could pull upon that you think, oh, that's a really good idea, because if I can connect the dots in this particular way, then I could create something. So that's one type of person, that you're curious, that you really are into exploring ideas, you're a good communicator. That could be one sort of skill set that you know is natural for you. On the other hand, you could be the programmer. So you're always tinkering, you've always tinkered from when you were a child, and through as you've moved through the different stages of your life, you like to deconstruct things, put them together again. You're really comfortable just being by yourself, staring at a computer screen for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. You could be in an airless room, but it doesn't matter, because this thing that's trying to pull your attention towards, can you solve this problem? So you have more of an engineering programmer approach to who you are. It's really important to understand and know yourself and be honest with yourself. Am I an ideas generator, or am I more somebody who likes to problem solve, really enjoys maths and physics and understanding how our world works? The reason why I raise this is, essentially, as a software engineer, you're going to be building things. And invariably, that means you're going to be spending a lot of time staring at a blank screen. Or if you're learning to code, you could be spending days, weeks, months trying to figure out, why isn't this code working? Why can't it pass? You'll be sighing, throwing your hands in the air, rolling your eyes, a whole range of things. But it's your ability to sit and stare at a screen that has a problem for you to work out. Because if you go down the road of a software engineer and you want to code and you want to retrain, essentially you will be joining the world of work, if you want to go down that route, as a junior, as an intern. So therefore, you will be literally trying to work out, where's the bug that could take you hours, or you might need to change the color on a button on a website. So it's unglamorous work. So if you know that you're naturally orientated towards that type of world, then yes, exploring the world of a software engineer could be really beneficial for you. Now, here's another distinction, because if you're an ideas person and you know you could not stare at a screen, work in a screen, work by yourself trying to solve problems, then maybe not. But actually, if you're an ideas person, it will be really easy for you to find a programmer, an engineer who can build the ideas that are in your head. Whereas if you're a programmer and you're naturally orientated towards that, it might be more difficult for you to find the ideas person. So you might have invested time, money in retraining to recognize that it's not the right fit for you. So it's better that you know now and make that decision. But if you are the programmer who doesn't really have a lot of ideas, the type of person that you need to work alongside is somebody who's really into business, who's got an entrepreneurial flair. It's really important that you understand this. It's got nothing to do with the fact that you're aging, you're getting old, and your brain cells are dying. And, as an older person, you're resistant to change. Quite the reverse. It's more about, what type of personality, characteristics do I have, that could it feed and lend itself towards the engineering route, or are you more along the line of communication? Now, you might be somebody who's got a blend of both, but nonetheless, you'll have a leaning towards one of them. So, I started my journey as a software engineer in my mid-50s. I have a natural leaning towards communication, spreading messages, connecting with people, as opposed to, I'm not a natural programmer. And there's this distinction that I'd really like you to take on board. There's a distinction between skills and talent. Skills are things we learn. We can learn things. So I learned how to be a software engineer. It was like pushing a boulder up the mountain, but I got there eventually. I learned, the code and the systems. I learned it, but I'm not a natural at it. If I think about when I trained as an astrologer, natural. And so the thing is, I'm more talented that way. So just think about, what are you talented at? Because talent is about the ease in which you can pick up things, the versatility in which you can use that particular concept. It's not difficult for you. It wasn't difficult for me to learn the intricacies of astrology. It felt like it was more I was remembering it as opposed to learning it. So if you're able to appreciate the subtleties in terms of who you are, this will help you decide whether software engineering for you is the right route or not. The second thing I want you to take on board is, if you so choose to go down that route, is the global world of recruiting. We're living in a globalized world. And so therefore, if you're choosing to go down the route of retraining as a software engineer and you're looking for a job, you've got to bear in mind that the competition isn't just about, or isn't coming from your local country. So here in the West, for example, or anywhere else in the world, but your competition isn't just in the country you're in. So you need to have an appreciation of where the world is going. So let's look at the rise, what's happening in the world. So people are being recruited from right across the world. And so if we think of 3 regions, if we think of the 54 countries in Africa, there are 1.2 billion people on the continent. And that continent is a mobile first continent. And so there's this emergence of new skills and talents that are engaging with the technological world. If we think about India, there's 1.3 billion people who are equally in the world of work and learning these technical skills. And then if we think about China, China has 1.4 billion and is already showing its dominance in terms of where it's situated and positioning itself in the world of technology. And so as employers are looking right across the world. And COVID really brought that home to us, because people are working, remote. You could be anywhere in the world. And so if you're a boomer who is uncertain about, should I go down this route? Should I go down that route? I want to set the context in which you will be emerging. So, you might have gone down the route, I'm going to retrain as a computer scientist and take a 4-year degree, or you might have gone through a boot camp and come out the other end and still a bit, I'm not sure what to do. Or you might take the self-taught route, community supported route, like I did. And we are doing that in the context of how recruitment practices are changing. And not everybody wants to work for a FANG company. So what is FANG? It's Facebook, it's Amazon, it's Apple, it's Airbnb, it's Netflix, and it's Google, and the likes of IBM, and the likes of Microsoft, and beyond. They're not the only technical companies. Now, they happen to be sort of like the first to market. But actually, what I do want you to take on board is the fact that every single company from here on in is going to become a tech company. And that's because of data. Yeah. So whether it's the corner shop or the conglomerate and every other type of business or entity in between is going to become a tech company. Why do I say this? Is because we're swimming in a world of information, and data is held within that information. It just needs to be sorted and clarified. So data needs to be stored, it needs to be accessed, and it needs to be processed. And so therefore, understanding data, which drives artificial intelligence, which is really automating our world, is something to bear in mind, because the world is moving into this digital transformation. And as a boomer who's seeking to reconnect with the world of work, or just expand more into the world of work, it's useful that you know this. It really is. And so don't only think about the route of, well, I'm going to look for a job. It might be your current job because it's going to become a technological focused company. And you might be thinking, well, I've got some ideas in terms of my own startup or my side hustle. So that leads me into the third point. The third point is with the rise, emergence, and dominance of artificial intelligence and machine learning. Do you really want to go down the road of retraining as a software engineer? Because through artificial intelligence, which drives automation, which is fed by big data, and machine learning is interpreting the roles of a software engineer. So actually, automation and machine learning are dominating our world. And so actually, training as a software engineer today, I'm not saying never do it, don't do it, but just appreciate that the rise of artificial intelligence, the rise of machine learning means that software engineering as a job is going to be the type of job that is going to be made redundant. Why? Because AI and machine learning are going to write the code. Alongside that development is this whole rise of no code and low code resources and tools. So actually, you might not need to even go down the road of should I retrain as a software engineer? If you're this ideas person, you have the ideas. You don't actually need an engineer to build it because there are a range of no code, low code tools, which is literally cut, paste, drag and drop essentially. Now, there might be some custom code that will need to be written that as a non-engineer, you might be thinking, well, I could get stuck. Well, that's where you could outsource it to an engineer who could write that specific code to link and connect, the app, web app, or SaaS product that you're building. So they're the considerations as to whether, as a boomer who, is flowing through your 50s, pushing your 60s, enjoying your 70s, and you're thinking, I still need to earn some money. Should I go down the road of software engineering? Maybe, maybe not. It's better that you understand the type of person that you are. What are your natural tendencies? And then understanding yourself, you would then decide whether should I invest time and money and stress or enjoyment in learning this or not. But also, it might be a hobby that you develop. You don't have to turn it into a career. You could still be that tinkerer who just, has got a few ideas and wants to play around with technology. It still enables you to develop fantastic skills. Maybe you're somebody like me who's a blend of both, that's got more of an orientation towards the communication and ideas, but I have a good understanding, of the basics of software engineering and how it works. And so as I'm building out my products, I've got the mix of both. Or you are that super geek who loves to tinker, who loves to deconstruct, move things around, and then bring it to market. So they're the things for you to consider as to should you or should you not retrain as a software engineer as you're a boomer flowing into the later part of life. And when you think about it, we're into the third act of life. It's about doing the things that really fire you, inspire you, turn the lights on in you. So you don't actually want to go down the road to learn a skill that you find tedious, arduous, but actually doesn't fit naturally who you are. Because the whole idea is to show up and embrace who you are and bring that into all aspects of your world. So that's it. Things for you to consider. I will see you again on the next video. Bye.